Good evening. Welcome to News Night here on Metro Television. My name is Bridget Otu. Thank you very much for joining us. The headlines tonight. Police to arrest and prosecute leaders of Arise Ghana demonstration. A document from the service cited by Metro News indicates. We'll tell you more. Some schools in various regions closed as crunch meeting with striking teacher unions end inconclusively. Initial talks between government and officials of the International Monetary Fund on a possible bailout to restore economic monetary stability held today. We'll share more with you later. The ruling New Patriotic Party to arrest any candidate who engages in vote buying during forthcoming national executive elections. Meanwhile, lead chairmanship contender Ayikoto withdraws from the contest. On the international front, manhunt underway for more than 400 prisoners who broke jail following a raid on a prison by suspected Boko Haram Islamists in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. The details of these stories and more, do join us. Right, and our very first story tonight, the Ghana Police Service has hinted of plans to arrest Arise Ghana demonstrators. This was contained in a new document released by the police service, which highlights their readiness to arrest all who break the law during special events and bring them to face justice.
In the document titled Police Public Education on the Holding of Special Events, including demonstrations, the police indicated their exercise is aimed at informing everyone on the rights and responsibilities under the law to organizers of demonstrations, as well as guide conduct during such events. The service referenced the Public Order Act 1994, Act 491, which places responsibility on organizers of demonstrations and other large events. The police added they have the power to close the streets or parts of the streets of the area where the special event is being organized. The Ghana Police Service urged the public to take note of the law and work together with the police to ensure the safety and security of all persons as they work to maintain law and order. The police statement suggested leadership of the Arise Ghana demonstrators could be arrested for flouting the Public Order Act.
So Sani Adib is an international security and policy analyst, and we want to get his thoughts on it. First of all, what did you make of the document? I mean, I was stunned by it and the content and the strategy. What's going on with the Ghana Police Service?
Well, Bridget, it's just an emphasis of the Public Order Act 1994, Act 491. It's just to lay emphasis. Perhaps the police feels we have forgotten what is contained in that document. It is nothing new. For most Ghanaians, we know that before you organize a special event, whether it is a religious procession, a demonstration, whatever it is, you would have to inform the police in as much as it is a fundamental right. And there are, of course, some rules to follow. So I think the police is just re-emphasizing. It is nothing new, like I indicated.
But this is coming on the back of the Arise Ghana demonstration, where the first day was violent, there was violent incidents, and second day, yes, was much peaceful, and they had threatened to arrest leaders, and they never went ahead. So how do we, juxtapose or put the two together and see what the intention is behind the release now?
Well, the information is quite murky, and things are getting murkier by the day. I see a lot of inconsistencies also on the part of the police, because I remember
what are the inconsistencies?
Good. So after the first day's violent incidents, that evening, there was a police statement that mentioned that they were going to arrest the leaders. Meanwhile, the following day, they were shaking hands with them.
Right,
you know?
right.
And they were there in their numbers. And I even heard one of them say, oh, today the police did well, clap hands for the police. And after that, the police issued a statement, commending the peaceful nature of the demonstration. So I don't know where this is coming from. Come to even think of it, Bridget, let's put some of these things into perspective. Why do we usually have violence when things like this happen? It's not because people are ignorant of the law. It's not people don't know that there's a Public Order Act and they would have to play by the rules.
Right.
Mostly it's as a result of various factors. For example, the first day the violence occurred was as a result of two issues. One, the route to take, and the second thing was, I think, the time the protest was supposed to end. And because the police was working with a court ruling, and leaders of Arise Ghana were also working in consistency with what we call a stay of execution, there was misunderstanding.
Right.
Okay. Other areas, we've had demonstrations, and it also turned violent because the police acted in an unprofessional manner. Others because they feel one of their community members has been killed or hurt by the police.
So there's no implications, whatsoever, because the intention behind it is still not clear, and why they're releasing it at this time and making it available to the media. So people are allowed to say they are just going out and gunning for the leaders of Arise Ghana demonstration.
It's difficult
because
to say.
It's the most recent. It's the most recent demonstration that happened. Yes.
Okay, but what I do know is the police is doing a whole lot of other public engagement.
Right.
For example, just last Friday when I was at the mosques, the police came around to talk to the communities. So I first thought, when I saw this document, I thought it was very much in line with the public education with respect to safety and, that the police has been embarking on.
Right.
But all of a sudden, I realized this has a different twist altogether.
Right.
And I don't know what the rationale behind it is. And
we will engage them. We will engage the police. Sunny, thank you very much for coming on the news and talking to us about that. We will definitely engage the police as well to get the mindset, what's behind it, why the release now, who are they really gunning for, and why is it important for them to amplify this section on the Public Order Act. We'll talk about IMF in a bit. The International Monetary Fund, IMF officials, commenced negotiations with the government today on a possible program to support Ghana's homegrown economic policies. Metro TV's business journalist Winston Taki was at the Finance Ministry and has this report.
The IMF mission team, led by Carlos Radulevich, who has been with the IMF team for the past 22 years. There are talks ongoing with the team from the Finance Ministry, where a possible bailout to the tune of $3 billion is being discussed for a possible support for the economy of Ghana. These all commence from today to the 13th of July. The IMF lending to Ghana will be for balance of payment support to shore up the international reserves. Government is committed to ensuring the smooth operationalization of all taxes, including the e-levy, to ensure that in addition to the IMF's resources, government can continue to support its development goals on its own, while ensuring that the tax to GDP ratio increases to the peer range of 16% to 18%. An IMF-supported program is likely to encourage the government to investigate the factors hindering the success of the e-levy by providing technical assistance if needed and come out with strategies to improve it. Following up for any update for you right here on Metro TV. My name is Winston Taki, reporting from the Finance Ministry, Accra, Ghana.
Right, and let's look at some other story. And Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu has asked President Akufo-Addo and Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia to take full responsibility for government's decision to run to the IMF for an economic bailout. According to him, the decision is a clear reflection of the economic reality facing Ghanaians.
President Nana Addo Dankwa and Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia should take full responsibility for incompetently managing the economy to suffocating debt level, which has necessitated the retreat, for us to request an agreement with the International Monetary Fund for the restructuring of our debt. As they take full responsibility, they should. They should also take responsibility for their reckless and irresponsible borrowing and unjustified profligate expenditure, which has led us to the journey of retreat. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, I don't know whether he has any respect for the word credibility and its value and what you do with, including the Honorable Minister of Finance. They would have done what is needful. I doubt if they can correct their mess. So they better start packing to get out of office January to hand over to President.
Also, ranking member on Finance Committee, Castle Ato Forson, is calling on the president to immediately dissolve the economic management team headed by Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
Trying to hide from what is happening by trying to blame Ukraine-Russia war. I do not accept it, and we cannot accept that as the reason why Ghana is in this mess. We are in this mess because it is government's deliberate policy. The government has messed us up big time, and they should take responsibility for it. This is indeed self-inflicted, and the people that took us through this mess must immediately take responsibility, as the leader said. I also want to say that we in the minority will never and can never accept a blame that suggests that we deliberately rejected government policy. We rejected government policy for the people of Ghana because our constituents do not believe in that policy. We told them that they should come to the table for us to design a bipartisan policy to replace it. They never listened to us. So I can only say that I saw this coming. Most of us saw this coming. If you're a driver and you see a car that is certainly going to have an accident, you see it. So we saw this car going to have an accident. Today, Ghana's economy has had an accident that will take a long time for us to repair.
Also, former Speaker of Parliament has waded into the IMF debate, speaking at an inaugural lecture in honor of late economist and politician Dr. Jones Ofori-Atta. Professor Michael Quay attributed Ghana's return to the Bretton Woods institution to the lack of support for government policies by opposition parties. He said Ghana will continue to seek the support of the IMF if politicians do not change their attitude towards the ruling class. Again, he said our overdependence on imported goods poses a serious threat to the economy.
Current economic situation. Prof, in there you said, and I quote, that we will continue to go to the IMF if we do not support the ruling government. And so is that...
No, I never talk about supporting the ruling government. If we don't put our things right, it's not a matter of supporting anybody. It is a matter of realizing the realities of our economy. We have been there 16 times already. What is it? Our economy is hanging on the periphery. Our economy is such that it's still dependent on foreign imports. In particular, we import corned beef, frozen chicken, everything that is eaten. And I was saying, assuming that there's a world pandemic or whatever situation, and no ships are moving in and out, can Ghana, human beings here, survive for 1 year? That is a question we must ask ourselves. And so whatever is in the way, our partisan politics, our disregard for one another, our dependence on foreign products, whatever is made abroad, that is a preference for us. So much so that even our films are brought us in a way that we see white people and we are speaking Twi through them. What is really wrong with us? Till we do that, I say, it will become just a ritual, 17th time, 24th time, 25th time, 50th time, and we shall go to the IMF because we cannot stand as a people. This is not how India, Indonesia, and all those other countries who are there made it. So it is a matter of a real indigenization of our own economy. Because as I'm saying, if there should be a real pandemic, if there should be a real war, no ships moving in and out, shall we survive? Because there's no foreign milk, there's no more foreign sugar. This is the question.
Now, the opposition in Parliament, they've been very, very fierce against the e-levy and other government policies. Do you think they sort of have contributed to where we are today?
You see, when we bring our issues necessarily to political blame, we muddy the waters. I wouldn't want to answer that question. I will only say, let us all work in a consensual manner and know that there is only one Ghana. This one party against the other has become just too much.
Today, a U.S. economist has said that he has measured our inflation and it is 48.69%. And he says that a mission to Ghana, or an IMF mission.
And these are the things, new phenomena have come. We must work on these. If we don't, young lady, then we'll simply have a perennial matter. We solve it and then we go back again after a little breathing space. That is not what we need. And what we need really is to be self-dependent and love ourselves and our country.
Thank you very much.
Right, and Emmanuel Amuadakwa is an economist and partner at CKADD Global, and he joins us on the phone to just look at, what the expectations are. Good evening, and thank you very much for joining us.
Good evening, Bridget.
Right, so we're hearing $2 billion, and it's $3 billion. How do we even know how much we're getting before we go in? And looking at our conditions, do we even stand that ground to say we want this much?
Thank you very much.
Right.
I must start from, it's going to start from the data fact-finding mission.
Right.
The IMF would have to measure the extent of deficit and the extent of balance of payment deficit for us to, based on the other macroeconomic indicators we currently have, for us to agree on whether it's going to be an X amount or Y amount. Of course, Ghana's SDR, it is going to be the major, component is going to form, and then our quota, the IMF, is going to form the major component where we can assess how much we can get from the fund. But these are early days for us to say we're going to get through 2 billion or 3 billion. The fact-finding mission will be able to, make some discoveries which will determine, based on the SDRs I've mentioned, how much we are going to receive from the fund, and then the number of years as well for the program to run.
But why do you think government is throwing a figure out and, they are running on these figures? What does it do to the market?
They have to also test the market. This is up to about 3 billion that the government expects to get from the International Monetary Fund. And so they want to test the market to put out figures to inform their negotiations when they go and meet the IMF at the, at the negotiation table. I think that is the more reason why government is throwing out. But I must advise that in a negotiation, you have to take your time. Don't be throwing out figures and be making statements that this policy will not be scrapped, this one will not be reviewed. You don't even know the details of the data fact-finding mission and what is going to come out of it. But you have to hold on to whatever negotiation tools you are going to use so that when you go to the table, you present it to the other party and negotiate for the best deal for the country. So I must advise government that enough of the lot of the PR gimmick. Let us go to the negotiation table with our best foot and let's see what comes out of these negotiations.
And I had read that indeed when government announced the decision to engage the IMF, the market actually responded positively. In other words, they think, we'll be in a position to service maybe our debt or to have foreign reserves. What exactly does that kind of signal really throw out to the market?
Well, because of our debt position currently, and a lot of the financial markets are close to us because of the volume of debt and then our amortization strategy. And once the government says that it's going to go to an IMF program, it means that there's some level of fiscal discipline we expect from an IMF program, because the program comes with conditionalities, which will expect that you adhere to the fiscal laws. And it is expected that Once they are going to, adhere to fiscal laws, then we can borrow to that country. That is why the market is responding favorably ever our announcement to go to the IMF for a bailout.
So, in other words, government going into this, they should lower their expectations?
Well, it's not lower the they should have an expectation, but they should keep the bullet to themselves and go to the negotiation table with it.
All right. Thank you very much for talking to us, Mr. Amoah Dankwa, our partner at CKADD Global and an economist. We're taking our very first break. When we come back, we'll look at, the strike. Various teacher unions are currently on strike asking for COLA, cost of living allowance. 20% they are demanding. Where are we now? We'll back tell you what's happening in the various regions. And a crunch meeting between government and leadership of 4 teacher unions over the ensuing nationwide strike due to an unfulfilled demand for a 20% cost of living allowance has ended inconclusively. And Deputy Minister of Employment and Labour Relations, Bright Rekub-Brobe, however, says the leadership of the teacher unions have agreed on calling off the strike if there is a definitive position from the government.
The Labour Ministry has acknowledged the demands of the teacher unions as legitimate. However, the teacher unions want a further gesture, fulfillment by government of their demand for a 20% cost of living allowance. This has been their call since 2021, culminating in the 30th June 2022 ultimatum, and then the consequent declaration of nationwide indefinite strike when governments failed to meet their demand. The effect of this strike spans from primary, junior high to senior high schools. The Monday afternoon meeting between leadership of the unions and Minister of Education, Yawadu Chum, and the Deputy Minister for Employment and Labour Relations, Bright Rekub-Brobe, was to address the concerns and have the teachers return to the classrooms. The Deputy Minister for Employment and Labour Relations, Bright Rekub-Brobe, is positive of a definite response of payment of the allowances in the next meeting.
Following the declaration of an industrial action by the teacher unions, government was very proactive. We had even wanted to meet them last Friday. Unfortunately, that could not happen because 2 of the unions were out of country, and we scheduled a meeting for today. Fortunately, they responded. And we are grateful to them. They came in their numbers. The Trades Union Congress joined them. And then, as the position is, government is in a very dire situation. So we explained to them that the times are not too good, and therefore we were pleading with them. We recognize the fact that they have a legitimate concern, but the timing is not too good, and therefore we have heard them, and they should go back to the classrooms whilst we continue to look at that, look at our books, and see what we can do for them. They have gladly also said that yes, then they're also going to do more consultations with their members and come back to us. But they would wish that if we also have some definitive position, we should call them and they are ready any time to meet with us. So that is where we are. The government side, we are retreating and would reach out to them. All options are on the table, including the plea bargaining. We are speaking that the times are not good, but their concerns are legitimate. As and when government's position changes, we will let you know.
The teacher unions are yet to decide on the fate of the strike.
We're continuing on this path and just give you what's happening in the various regions. And we're starting in the Greater Accra region here. And pupils across the country have already started bearing the brunt of the industrial action by their teachers, which has entered day 2. To have a better appreciation of the situation, let's do a regional tour. And like I said, it's starting from the capital here.
It is another holiday for students at the Kanda cluster of schools. This is as a result of the strike which has been staged by the various teacher unions in the country to demand for a 20% cost of living allowance, which they have termed as COLA. When we arrived at this very campus, what we realized was that the students were out having fun and enjoying their day. We asked them why, and they told us that their teachers are on strike and none of them have appeared in the classroom to teach. But the final year students are going through some examination processes as we speak, and so they are writing their mock. To them, they told me that some of the teachers have been coming around to supervise their work, but activities here remains very dry. Let's get to some of the classrooms and see what exactly is happening there. If indeed there are some teachers in the classroom who have refused to work, or the teachers are still working. So I'm going to enter into basic 5 of the school, and then I'll check as to what is happening. So getting here, the students are seated, some of them reading their books and others doing what they are expected to do as students, but there are no teachers in the classroom. The class teacher is actually not in school as we speak. So I'll walk to some of the students and find out from them. At what time did you come to school?
At 6 or 7.
When you came, did you see your teacher here?
No.
What were you told when you came to school today?
They said that we should sit in the class and we should read our books.
So you've been reading your books since?
Yes.
At the Nima Basic School, the situation was a little different. Now at the Nima cluster of school, the situation here is different. The service personnel have been mandated to take care of the kids, whilst the staff enjoy the holiday of the strike to demand for the 20% COLA. What I have observed here is that students are on break as we speak, but after the break, they'll go back to the classroom and the service personnel will teach them what they need to know for today. Reporting for Metro News, Elvis Andor, Kanda Cluster of School, Accra.
Elvis Andor. And now let's bring you a situational report from the Eastern, Northern and Ashanti regions with indications that some schools have been shut down, contrary to a directive by the Ghana Education Service to have them opened.
Some schools visited in the Eastern region have been placed under lock and key. Headmasters have asked pupils to go home and listen to news on when the strike will be called off.
Our headmaster told us not to come to school because they are on strike.
I'll say I'm on strike. My headmaster told me to listen to radio till I hear the strike is called off. This strike will be worrying us because we will be writing exams soon.
Some guardians have also expressed their worry over the issue.
We are appealing to them, say, due to our children, their future, so we are appealing to them that we beg them, they should just talk to the government and they should calm down and they should come back to the classroom to teach the kids.
We learned that the teachers are on strike because the government is not taking good care of them. None of the pupils stepped here today.
The situation was not different in the northern region, as schools visited had practically been closed down. No teacher or pupil was in sight. Meanwhile, pupils in some basic schools in the Ashanti region visited revealed hundreds of people loitering about without supervision. Classrooms were empty as many of them resorted to playing. Those preparing for final exams were, however, busy writing mock exams under the supervision of some national service personnel.
Right, and the National Elections Committee of the New Patriotic Party says it will arrest and prosecute any candidate who engages delegates in vote buying. The chairman of the committee, Peter McMenu, said the party will strategically deploy police officers purposely to monitor and arrest candidates who engage in such practice.
In all, 10 national positions are up for grabs. A total of 47 aspirants have been approved by the Elections Committee for the contest scheduled for 16th to 17th July 2022. These include the chairmanship position, first, second, and third vice chair positions, general secretary, organizer, youth organizer, treasurer, women's organizer, and Nasara coordinator. Speaking at a press briefing in Accra, the National Elections Committee chairman Peter McMenu said the party will take care of the cost of accommodation, transportation, and feeding of delegates to avoid candidates bribing delegates in the form of providing these amenities.
Any aspirant with concerns should contact the National Election Committee through the Director of Elections, who is our secretary, with a complaint which shall be acted upon expeditiously in the interest of fairness and justice. Any aspirants who fails to channel their grievances through these means, but rather resort to denigrating and casting aspersions at the party or any individual involved in the process within the media space will face disciplinary action.
He warned the party will arrest and prosecute any candidate who engages delegates in vote buying.
All aspirants and all their agents are therefore warned not to engage in any untoward behavior that can be interpreted as bribery or treating within the meaning of the Representative of People's Law 1992 PNDC Law 284, which are serious criminal offenses. The National Election Committee has therefore engaged the Ghana Police Service, who will be on the election grounds to strictly enforce the laws and arrest anyone found to be in the breach of PNDC Law 284. We are going to enforce it. So we are using your medium to tell Ghana and the world that we are not going to entertain any acts of treating and bribery in our internal elections.
Concerns have been raised over alleged vote buying in the party's recent internal elections.
And meanwhile, the former Minister of Justice and Attorney General Joseph Ayukwe-Otu has rescinded his decision to contest for the New Patriotic Party chairmanship position in the upcoming regional delegate elections. And this means that the number has come down to 7.
Nominations were opened by the ruling New Patriotic Party's National Elections Committee. A total number of 8 candidates showed interest to contest for the chairmanship position. All the 8 aspirants went through the laid-down principles and processes by picking and filing nomination forms, vetting and balloting. Lawyer Ayukwe-Otu's withdrawal from the chairmanship contest comes only 10 days to the elections. He was considered a favorite. His exit reduces the contestants to 7.
No appeals against the nomination of any prospective aspirant were recorded by the National Appeals Committee headed by Honorable Daniel Boji, which had scheduled Friday 24th to Saturday 25th of June 2022 for the hearing of appeals. In effect, there were no appeals. So the process went smooth sailing. Honorable Ayukwe-Otu, who was vying for the position of national chairman of the party, has however since withdrawn from the race. So after vetting, he has withdrawn from the race.
The chairman of the Elections Committee, Peter McMenu, assured all aspirants of free and fair elections devoid of manipulations.
All aspirants and their respective supporters are hereby advised and cautioned not to engage in a campaign of insults and or name calling, but must rather conduct their campaigns with civility and decorum, as has been the trait of the New Patriotic Party from time immemorial. Any display of opulence, including but not limited to mounting of billboards, is seriously frowned upon, and infringing aspirants will be dealt with accordingly. participants are further cautioned to refrain from bastardizing the election process and the systems that have been put in place to ensure a fair and transparent election.
An embattled Dom Kwabenya MP, Sarah Adwoa-Safo, has again failed to appear before the Privileges Committee to respond to questions about her continuous absence from Parliament. The MP was scheduled to appear via a Zoom link which was provided before the proceedings, but unfortunately, committee members waited for minutes without a word from Adwoa-Safo. And it's unclear what will be her fate after the latest action not to appear before the committee. And the committee also failed to take a firm action on the conduct and that of the other two MPs who honored the summons to appear before the committee. We will go on the phone, right, and speak to Abi Hussaini, who is a committee member. Very good evening and thank you very much. Unfortunately, we don't have him, but we would want to know what's the next line of action for the committee. What becomes of Adwoa-Safo? Did she acknowledge receipts of the Zoom link? Because she clearly said the other time that she hadn't seen any calls or messages or anything, but did she acknowledge receipts of the Zoom link? And what's next could happen? So stay with us here on Metro TV. We'll definitely give you more on this. Births and Deaths Registry is engaging some government institutions to improve on data collation. Speaking at the launch of mobile mass registration exercise in Accra, local government and rural development minister Dan Botry said government is committed to using technology and digitalization to improve the economy.
After over 40 years in the wooden dilapidated building that posed threats and hazard to human life and national data, the Birth and Death Registry now operates from a well-resourced facility. The registry spearheads the enactment of the Registration of Birth and Death Act 2020 passed by Parliament and assented to by the President in October 2020. Provisions in the Act make room for decentralized operations and outlines clear functions of the registry. Within 12 months of the coming into force of this Act, the Registration of Birth and Death Regulations 2021 was passed. Per the Act, 0 to 12 months, birth registration is free of charge. Similarly, death registration within the first 10 days after occurrence is at no cost. The launch of the mobile mass registration exercise will contribute to attaining universal vital registration in Ghana. Minister of Local Government and Rural Development Dan Botry says understanding of births and death registration is pivotal to government planning and development of socio-economic programs.
Recognizes the significance of the Birth and Death Registry and its contribution to socio-economic planning and development, and will ensure that purposeful structure is constructed to preserve historical national records and household infrastructure.
We're taking a break. Business is next. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Newsnight Live on Metro TV. My name is Winston Taki. And now to our first business story. Country Director for the World Bank, Pierre Laporte, has disclosed that between July 2021 and June this year, the World Bank has injected $903 million into the Ghanaian economy, the highest amount to be received by Ghana from any European institution. He said the amount signals confidence of the World Bank in the Ghanaian economy and called for the accelerated review of key sectors in order to keep the economy running.
Performance of our program in Ghana over the last fiscal year that just ended last week on June 30th. This year, between July 1st, 2021 and June 30th, 2022, the World Bank approved a total of $903 million for Ghana. Never in the history of Ghana has any development institution approved such a large amount of money in one single year. And I take the opportunity to thank my colleague development partners for working together toward the common goal of helping reduce poverty in Ghana. This strong performance in delivery has also been accompanied by very encouraging disbursement performance. In the World Bank, we have a target to try to disburse at least 20% of our portfolio during a single year. This year we did close to 23%, well above our target. And this is really the work of everyone, from my bank colleagues to the government agencies, the ministries, and the PIUs. And World Bank support to Ghana at this level is testimony to the institution's belief in the country. We believe strongly that Ghana holds huge potential to be a true example of effective development in Africa. Despite the current macro-fiscal challenges, we are confident we'll rise through it. Reforms in critical areas like public finance, key sectors reforms, as well as investment climate will need to be accelerated. But we have full confidence that under the leadership of President Akufo-Addo.
Now, away from that, the Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry, Herbert Krapah, is urging Ghanaian youth to take advantage of the numerous opportunities in international export value chain. He was speaking at the maiden congregation ceremony of the Ghana Export Promotion Authority Expo School.
A 2021 report from the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development indicates that investment flows from Africa accounted for only 5.2% of global foreign investment. For 20 years running, the average investment in Africa has hovered around 19%. Intra-African trade over the last 10 years has remained low, hovering around 15%. The Ghana Export Promotion Authority has set an export target of $25.3 billion by 2029. The objective of the GEPA Export School is to train businessmen and trade professionals in the area of export and international trade.
It is expected that graduates of export school will be capable of transforming Ghana's natural resources and raw commodities into manufactured economic wealth. The multifaceted course content, I believe, has equipped our graduates with opportunities to understand how trade internationally and define business winning plans in an international trade environment, especially on our continent. And I want to believe that I'm looking at the next crop of business minds that will stem the tide of our continent within the decade and give us better figures to call out when we talk about intra-Africa trade.
Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry Herbert Krapah, in his address, encouraged the youth to take advantage of opportunities in the trade value chain.
At the regional level, you know that the African Continental Free Trade Area has been introduced and we're currently implementing it. There are a lot of opportunities that avail to you. The World Bank says that if it is successfully implemented by 2035, 450 million Africans will be lifted out of extreme poverty. And that means that we have to pay attention across the value chain in ensuring that we're all taking advantage of the opportunities that the African Continental Free Trade Area provides.
That'll be all for business here on Newsnight. Sports is next after this break. My name is Phil John Quarter, and it's time for sports. The leadership of the Ghana Football Association are excited by the news that more and more players are switching nationality ahead of the Mundial. However, ex-Blaster player and the head coach of Bibiani Gold Stars, Michael Essett, says that the issue should be worrying for local players.
Actually, the national level, you need exceptional players, the players who are playing high-level football. But all the same, we don't have to focus only on those who are playing outside, because you can get a lot of exceptional here, especially with the coaches here. We have the experience in the local scene and then foreign. We know that we have a very quality players here that you can add up with the team. The coaches comes and then they don't mind any player here. It's not even the respect for the local coaches here, because we are doing the fatigue work here. So
In a related development, a former board member of Accra House of Isaac Tete says that the FA and the technical leadership of the Ghana Blasters should be very careful about the situation of player switching.
My problem is, if we are playing qualify for the World Cup, why don't we use those players to start, to prepare them, for them to know each other? And why do we have to qualify, and those players who qualify the national team to the World Cup will now put aside to say they are not the materials for World Cup? When it becomes that, then there's bitterness in those players. But those players also are working exclusively towards the national team. That is the dicey thing that we all have to know. But if one-on-one, some of the players that qualify the national team to the World Cup, we will know that when it comes to player, this player is better than me, so they should look for the player to come and represent Ghana. I'll give him all the support that I have to, because by the end, if Ghana lifts the cup, we all benefit.
That's your sports. My name is Phil John Quartier. Ever beautiful Asidua is ready for showbiz.
Thank you, Phil. It's time for entertainment news. My name is Asiedwa Akumia. President Akufo-Addo has launched a $10 million grant to support small and medium-scale enterprises in the tourism sector. The aim is to improve tourism performance by upgrading tourism sites and developing the capacities of players in the sector.
As an important driver of economic activity and transformation. The development of entrepreneurship has the potential to contribute to specific development objectives, such as the employment of women and the youth. It is in this direction that the government, through the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture, is in this year supporting SMEs in the tourism, hospitality, and creative arts sector with a grant of $10 million United States dollars to enhance and expand their businesses. The grants will assist operators in the sector modernize and improve tourist sites, restaurants, tour operations, event organization, and related businesses to become attractive and competitive. The grants are in three categories, namely COVID relief support, SME support, and site upgrade. These are intended to help transform the tourism sector, to stimulate economic growth and create jobs. It is expected that 1,500 SMEs will benefit from the grant support. In 2021, government through the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture disbursed the CD equivalent of $10 million United States dollars to some 1,400 SMEs. This year's grant will target some 60% women as beneficiaries, because the majority of the operators in the sector are female. I commend the World Bank for supporting this initiative through the Ghana Tourism Development Project, and we continue to value the partnership of the World Bank in our development journey.
Well, the conversation about Ghanaians loving and streaming Nigerian songs have always been a debate, but software engineer Solomon Apiasain believes otherwise. But that's it for Entertainment News. My name is Asiodua Akumia. Bridget?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Asiodua. International News is next. More than 400 prisoners are missing following a raid on a prison in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. Officials say 4 inmates, a security guard, and several attackers were killed after the prison was targeted on Tuesday night, according to official. An Islamist militant group, Boko Haram, is suspected of carrying out the attack, and dozens of its members are on the run, the defense minister said. Over 5,000 inmates have escaped in jailbreaks in Nigeria since 2020. Community Watch will come on at 9 p.m. with my colleague, Gabriel Obodai Ashon. Do join us then. My name is Bridget, so have a very good evening.